Quasidb morning bulletin for the 7th of the 7th. We've got jobless claims in the US, we've got PMI from Canada, and we've got NFP tomorrow. So we have to bear that in mind. Okay, so the risk calculation is off of the big picture. There's 6 people trying to buy risk indices versus the 1 person trying to short. Now that's kind of unusual because they should be conditioned to be fearful, but they're being greedy. So ideally we'd want this a bit lower. We want this to be negative. If we're bullish on risk appetite, they're actually long, so hence the positive number. I wonder whether or not we're going to break the VIX on the yearly pivot 26.5. So put an alert on TradingView. If we do break that, we might be bullish fundamentally because VIX is pretty strong, and you could probably argue it's stronger than retail sentiment. The VIX is like big fish. It's a big fish metric. And if that's going to get pumped or dumped, that will affect your stock market. So keep an eye on 26.5. EJ was a strong sell. However, we want the things to align. We want red and red or green and green. We've got a mismatch there. However, oil is matching at the high level and at the dynamic level. The difference over time is dynamic. The bias is the static. So high level, low level. And you want the low level to agree with the high level, but we have got a mismatch. Okay, so that's that. And that's a sell for us, but ideally we want that to be in the positive number. We're not quite positive yet. There's still it's still a negative number, so they're short. So once it goes into positive, then that's going to really fall. Okay. AUD, NZD, gaining on the small time frames, see the half hour, hourly, H4. The euro is weak across all time frames. It's weekly, it's the weakest on the weekly, which is really interesting. The dollar is strongest on the weekly. There's the Aussie strength, which you can see. There's the euro weakness here. Hopefully that's clear. I'll change the view so you can see maybe a bit clearer. There's the euro, there's the Oz, euro, euro. So that's just proof of the pudding that the sentiment, it works. Snapshot data. So red is sell, green is buy, but you want their numbers to increase or decrease to confirm the bias. The S&P had a chop fest, and it was very, very hard to trade. And inevitably they gave up and they shorted it. At the beginning of that chop, actually, they shorted it, and it just went up and down, up and down, up and down, and now it's sideways. So I think we're going to see a large move. What normally happens after sideways, like capitulation, we see like a knee-jerk reaction. So it all depends what the sentiment does. So keep an eye. Well, if you can only keep an eye if you've got the trading station. So I do recommend you get it. And US 30 was cleaner. I'm not sure what that marks there for. It's a bit strange, but they sold it there. So and then they continue to sell it. So that's a lot easier to analyze. This is very hard, and it's uncertain what's going to happen. But usually sideways results in a big, bounce or a dump. But US 30 is cleaner. You can see, they got chopped around and they sold it at the end of the chop, whereas they sold it at the beginning of the chop. It's really interesting. That's quite interesting. Gold sentiment, we had a signal, by the way, which might be good. So they shorted it, and you can see what happened is that they tried to go long, and it would have stopped them out. That was a sufficiently aggressive dump for them to get out, and then it rose, and then they were really unsure. Perhaps that candle might have done it. That looks like it cemented the deal. This little red candle here. And they thought, well, okay, so we probably are going to break. We are bearish, and so they shorted it. And so we're probably going to see price come up because of this. And it's a sentiment for you. You've got to keep, you've got to keep an eye on it. Now, what's worrying here is that we need to see a steepening of the curve like this, but we're clearly not. We're going like this, and flattening, and then inverting. So we'd want that higher than this one. Right, and the 10-year isn't behaving very well, and this is causing a little bit of a risk-off scenario. So be careful. This is probably quite ominous. We might be risk-off. We know we're risk-off at the big picture, on our risk calculation, so just be careful. I know we made buys here on the S&P, but there, you know, we might be a sell, so be careful. And SLC update. Largest move was dollar Swiss, 8% shift, but you know, you want the green and greens. We haven't got a green and green there. We've got a mismatch, mismatch, one there, one there, one there, mismatch, 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 and another mismatch. So nothing agrees at the high level and low level. So the confirmation over time isn't agreeing with the static. So be careful. We could be entering a transition phase where we're going to be chopping and reversing, which is really interesting. That's got like a 0 score on its agreement, which is very rare. So we're probably at a point of you know, things changing. Maybe we're going to be risk on. Maybe that's what that's forecasting. Aussie is strongest, which probably adds to the risk on theme, and Euro is weakest, which doesn't really add to the risk on theme. The dollar's in a strong buy, so that's a risk off. So this is a little bit ominous. We might be at a turning point here, so be careful. AU is the stop loss cluster. It's sticking out like a sore thumb. It's ridiculously huge at 9.76 in size, so there's a lot of liquidity at that area at 67.55, so expect that to get probed. Probably not today because we've got the Aussie strong, maybe next week, but that's a lot of stops down there, which is going to be probably going to have to get probed due to the size. And maybe Aussie USD is safe today. Just a reminder that on the 1st of September the promo code is going to be switching back to a 10% discount. You can see currently it's a huge discount. It's like 70%, not 10%. So if I were you, I'd get the Quasidb code while you can and get the annual. And if you wait after the 1st of September, you're only going to get a 10% discount. So if you get an annual now, you've secured the Quasidb price for a year. If you don't get the annual, you're going to pay $31 a month, or you could pay $10 a month. It's up to you. But I know what I'm going to do. Right, so that's a big savings. So I would do that personally. So yeah, failure rate is better than it was. It could be telling us that the trap's, you know, been activated and they're about to spring it on to the unsuspecting retail traders. Do note the Euro's got a rubbish score and the Yen's got a rubbish score. So if you're trading Euro or Yen, I'd probably wait for that to increase. If you're trading the dollar, you're probably okay to enter because the retail guys are getting destroyed. You know, good probability of success. It's nearly a perfect score. On all dollar crosses, only 1 is misbehaving out of the 7. So 6 are behaving out of the 1 that's misbehaving. However, the Euro is totally misbehaving, so I'd probably avoid the Euro. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. This should be quite clear. And wait for it to get to 60 or 70%, and then you've got your odds in your favour. So you're going into the casino with a 70% probability of success. Or if you enter now, you've got 53% chance of success. Why not wait? Okay. No signals to stay, but we're up a lot, 200 pips, which is pretty amazing. And this is just a summary of where we are. We want to look at the daily and we want to look at the summary. So strong sell, EU, strong sell. Dollar Yen is moving now because we were strong buy and we're only buy. We might go to neutral, so be careful. And if we don't go to neutral, it's probably going to help gold as well. So keep an eye, be careful with that signal that we got today. It might be okay. So that's just a quick summary, just have a look at that. We got jobless claims, PMI from Canada, and then of course we got the unemployment rate at the same time as the non-farm payroll. So if you're trading dollar CAD, be careful because they released the data at the same time, and this is probably going to be a huge mover on the dollar. Right, and we know that the dollar is in a strong buy. So whether or not it will stay there, we don't know. But you can certainly check your spreadsheet and you can see what's happening with the dollar. We know that they're getting punished. So it could be good. There's the USD down there. Alright, so wrap up now. Don't want to make it a long one. I'm going to make a video on trading psychology now, and I need to put some notes together. So it'll probably be this afternoon, and I'll do that video for you guys in the private channel. Probably maybe 1 o'clock ish if I can get some time.